57 years after initial contact with Xenomorph XX-121, WEYLAND Yutani attained coordinates to the derelict spacecraft that had been previously explored by the crew of the Nostromo on LV-426, now named Acheron. Director of Special Projects Carter J. Burke ordered Acheron's colonists to investigate. The Jordan family, including young Newt, traveled to the derelict where her father, Russ Jordan, was attacked by a facehugger parasite and was implanted with a xenomorph embryo. A mere few days after this initial encounter, the entire colony of Hadley's Hope, 157 souls, had been harvested by xenomorphs, save for Newt, who managed to escape. The Colonial Marines response team didn't fare much better. Of the 12 soldiers sent to Acheron, only Hicks survived, along with Newt, the damaged android, and Ripley. In the 12 years since returning to Earth, it was as if Hicks and Newt never left Acheron. Nightmares of the xenomorph plagued them nightly, and the creature was still out there, somewhere. Finding the alien homeworld and destroying it may have brought some closure, but soon all of the Earth began to share their nightmares. Whatever dreams may have lived in their minds during hypersleep on the trip back to Earth were of little consequence when they awoke to view Dr. Orona's transmission, and to discover the Earth had been falling to the xenomorph plague. They took the news as well as could be expected. "Oh, fuck," Newt said, staring at the screen. Next to her, Nix nodded, his face grim. "It was all for nothing," he said. "We blew their fucking planet up, but it was too late. They were already on Earth. The stupid bastards brought them home, and they got loose." Blake and the crewman stood there, also watching. Bueller lay on the gurney behind Newt. "What are we gonna do, Sarge?" "Do? What can we do? We're in orbit. We're going down." Nobody had any better ideas. Then the crewman, Parks, his name was, said, "Hicks, we've got company." Hicks glanced at the Doppler screen. He swore softly. It was the Elephant Alien's ship, hanging in space only a couple of 100 kilometers away. Impossible, as it was supposed to be in the Einsteinian subspace. The thing had followed them. How? Why? The Benedict cleared for landing on the base once occupied by Dr. Orona, by what little military presence remained. Hicks leaned back. Things sounded even worse than the recordings they had seen and heard. Orona's supposedly safe installation had been overrun weeks ago. There didn't seem to be much left of it to come back for, but Hicks had to see it for himself. His victory on the aliens' homeworld was meaningless now. As the Benedict made its way back to Earth, Newt came to see Bueller, still conflicted after the discovery that the man she came to love was an android. She needed to know if what they had was real. He was struggling himself, not being aware until the attack that he was, in fact, an artificial person. "When that thing tore into me, I remember thinking how much I loved you," he told her. "Then I saw what was left, and suddenly I knew. God, we all knew." Hicks said it was just programming, Newt replied. Part of some socialization process. You believed you were human because it was easier, but that doesn't explain what happened between us. It can't. The two embraced as Newt thought about their situation and her place in the universe. "We were nothing when we left Earth. We'd been sent to find specimens. We were returning with salvation." The word seemed hollow, ridiculous. Where would I find my salvation? Maybe all life is like Hicks's revenge. Chemical, random. Hate, death, love, all meaningless outside some larger context. It always comes back to our arrogance. The scientists want to draw a line between man and his machines. But what did it matter? Bueller cared for me. Not like Hicks, not like Earth's doctors. What made their hate more alive than their creation's love? Time passed quickly. For the first time since Acheron, I felt a sense of calm. Earth drifted below us like some bright toy, and at long last, we were going home. Wind and rain battered the ship as we settled on the landing platform. It was almost as if nature itself were rebelling against the military's plan. The rain reminded me of Acheron, of my innocence. When the ship landed, there were dozens of soldiers waiting, guns leveled at them. An officer, colonel, or general, Newt guessed, strode up and nodded at Hicks. "We're glad you brought the ship back, Colonel. We need it. This is the last secure compound remaining. We're bailing out. What's going to happen to Earth? The man shrugged. I can't say. I'm supposed to take the rest of my men to the outpost we've established. High Command will sort it out from there. You're just going to leave? What about the people here? The man shook his head. What I think is, the aliens will overrun everything, then someday we'll come back and try again. Develop some way to kill him from orbit without damaging the land or sea too bad, some kind of biological or chemical thing. We'll start with a clean slate. Hicks looked as if he were going to punch the man. There are billions of human beings here. Were billions, Colonel. The aliens have taken a lot of them. A lot of them have been friendly fired. A lot died in experiments designed to stop the creatures. There are maybe 500–600 million left, and going fast. We can't save them. If we're lucky, we'll get clear before this place goes up. As if on cue, a junior officer leaned over to the commander. Sir, Pickett's report has surged from the southeast, several thousand bugs attacking. They are through the minefield and approaching the fences. Check out the Benedict, the officer ordered, and take the synthetics to rehab. We'll deal with them later. The armed soldiers swarmed into the ship. The officer said, When you think about it, maybe it's not all bad. Earth was on the edge of destruction for a long time. If it hadn't been this, it would have probably been something else that set it off. This way we can maybe get it right next time. Wait, Hicks said. There's another factor. We had help on the aliens' homeworld. Another spacefaring species. It saved us. It followed us here, in its own ship. Look, Corporal, this is all very interesting, but what difference does that make? You think this thing can wipe out all the bugs on the planet? I don't know, but it might help. The officer glanced at his chronometer. If we had the time, yes, but if our intelligence is right, we have got a day, maybe only a few hours before we are overrun. We've set nukes to take out the complex after we're gone. We've lost this war. It's time to retreat. The three of them were leaning against the inside of a support post that ran from the ground up through the level they were on. Hicks guessed they were on the third level, probably 50 meters above the surface. We've suspected the existence of other sentient beings since the Nostromo mission. It doesn't change things, the officer explained. The aliens have won, Corporal. Basic military tactics. When you're outgunned, you retreat, and leave nothing for your enemy. Hicks grabbed the officer. Jesus, haven't you heard anything I've said? There's still a chance if you'll deal with the... Newt interrupted. They don't want to stop it, she realized. The officer confirmed. It's only a matter of time before the aliens overrun us. We've got to deal with the reality of the situation. Orona understood. The alien attack isn't evil. It's an opportunity. Earth's been on the brink of destruction for decades. There's no discipline, no order. The aliens only exacerbated the situation. It would have come, sooner or later. It's a chance to clean the slate, a chance to start again. After a few years, when it's over, the survivors can return and terraform Earth into something beautiful again. Orona understood. The aliens have given us a chance to rediscover ourselves. It's a good thing. Suddenly, Newt burst out laughing. For the first time since Acheron, I laughed. I laughed because words had lost their meaning. Because that son of a bitch Orona had been right. The aliens didn't destroy us. We did. News of a breach of the complex had cut the conversation between Hicks and the officer short. He began to leave to make his way to his ship for evacuation. And what about us? Hicks asked. You did what you thought was right. The time for military protocol and polite inquiries are long past. You're like everyone else still on Earth. Unnecessary. Unnecessary my ass, Hicks protested, as he and Newt were left to fend for themselves. Newt, overwhelmed, sat on the floor, acquiescing. Just let it end, the way it should have ended, on Acheron, for both of us. I'm not giving those alien shits the pleasure, and neither are you, Hicks said. I don't plan for us to be on Earth, either. What are you talking about? Asked Newt. Remember what the controller said when we left orbit? There are programmed troop carriers here. When they leave, we'll be on one of them. I smuggled you aboard the Benedict, and if I've learned one thing about the military, it's this. They never learn. On level 1, the rehab center, was Bueller. Mitch. They destroyed the others, he said. Took what they could salvage. I didn't think you'd come back." Hicks led them into a storage area that had a computer terminal. He began punching questions into the system. "What are you doing?" He didn't look up at Newt. "Finding out which of the drone ships are carrying crew and which are only lugging cargo. Some will have troops, some will be hauling supplies. We can find a supply ship. We can dump some of them and replace the weight with us." "We don't even know where they are going," Newt said. "Who cares? Can't be any worse than being fried by atomics or eaten by the monsters." "I know what you're gonna say," he said. "I thought my job was over when I blasted the aliens' homeworld. That I could come back, get stuck away in some nice quiet prison or brain-wiped, and that would be it. I was looking forward to it. But now, no. I can't quit until every one of these alien bastards is dead." "Is it worth it?" "It is to me. A man's gotta have a reason to get up in the mornings. I spent years trying to decide if I should just shut my own lights off. Something always kept me from doing it. I never knew what, exactly, but I'm glad it did. I might die, kid, but I'm going to go down swinging." He was as happy as she'd ever seen him. He had a purpose, and that was more than a lot of people had. "Here we go. Cargo drone, number 302, nicknamed the American, Base 16, Level 5. They approached the docked ships cautiously. Hicks put Bueller down and carefully drew his handgun. He eased his way back onto the dock, using the supports as cover. In the end, it was easy. "Our ride is here, people. Let's go." Behind them, small arms fire rattled. It didn't sound close, but it wasn't too far away either. The ship was a rectangular module with heat tiles on the bottom and a small control cab that looked vaguely like the head of a giant insect stuck on the front. It seemed almost as an afterthought to Newt, the way the cab joined the brick-shaped body of the ship. Hicks caught her look. "Cobbled together out of spare parts," he said. "We'll be lucky if it doesn't come apart when we lift. Come on." "We've got to move some gear around. This bird is loaded with food supplies and frozen sperm and ova, regular little Noah's Ark. We have to install an oxy plant and recycling and recovery system so we can breathe and have a way to clear wastes. And since I don't know how long we'll be in flight, some sleep chambers would be nice too. Take us a couple of hours. I've located the stuff we need on the ship next door." It took almost 2.5 hours to get the proper gear installed, and would have been impossible without the dummets Hicks rounded up. The sounds of combat were drawing much closer as they finished. He could hear the occasional ricocheting off of the alien armor, and whoever had taken over for the general would probably be hauling ass real soon now. Every now and then, Hicks heard a man or woman scream. "Let's lock it up," he said to Newt. "I have a feeling we'll be going for a ride any minute." The control cabin still had acceleration couches in place. They hadn't gotten around to stripping them, so Hicks helped Newt cinch Bueller into a place before he went down on the couch. No sooner had he fastened his own restraints than the ship's board lit up with launch readings. Close. "Hang on," he said. "Looks like somebody just lit the fuses." The ship lifted, and the high G-force shoved at the passengers, pressing them deep into their cushioned seats. Hicks supposed that if he had a viewer operational, he would have looked back, although it would surely be a depressing sight. Watching your own planet being overrun by monsters wasn't what he would call fun. There was nothing to be done for it, now at least. The first rule in winning a war was to survive. If you lived, you could fight another day. Dead, you couldn't do shit. And Hicks planned to stay alive as long as it took to kill those things. As long as it took. Whoever had programmed the ships had figured on using Earth's gravity to sling them into deep space. The cargo drone reached high orbit, and the drives pulsed, pushing them into an ellipse. The monitors showed that there were at least 50 ships in the loose formation, plus one unidentified vessel whose configurations Hicks recognized. "Hey, say goodbye to old Longnose," he said. Newt looked at him, went blank, then screamed. Mitch managed to unhook himself from his seat and walk on his hands to where Newt was still strapped into her chair. He climbed up, held her, tried to reach her. "Newt, what is it?" It was inside her brain again. The alien presence she'd last felt light years away. The thing that had saved them from the monsters. It was laughing. The force of its thoughts overwhelmed her. She couldn't stop them. It was like trying to halt an ocean breaker with a bucket. The feelings were mixed. It gloated. It was filled with snide joy. It lusted, it felt superior, it hated, it raged, and among all those were things she couldn't identify, feelings for which there was no human reference. But she got enough of it to know what it wanted her to know. Oh God. Newt. She managed to focus on Mitch, who loved her. Her feelings for him became like a wall, against which the alien spacefarer's emotional sea splashed. Some of it slipped past, but not enough was stopped so Newt could recover her senses. Somehow it knew this. The tide stopped. It's that thing. It talked to me. What did it say? Hicks put in. It has no more use for us than it did the aliens. It followed us here to see our world, to see if there was anything here worth taking. It wants to conquer us. Won't have a lot of opposition, will it? Hicks said. It plans to wait and let the aliens kill all the humans. Then when the soldiers come back, it knows their plans. It will be waiting, maybe with others of its own kind, to take Earth from the winners. Damn, Hicks said. If it isn't one thing, it's another. Out of the hurricane and into a tornado. After that, there wasn't much any of them could say. Hicks had the sleep chamber cycling online. According to his instruments, the ship was about to enter subspace. None of them knew for how long or how far they would travel while dancing in the nowhere and no-when of the Einsteinian warp, but it didn't really matter. The cargo vessel's navigational computers were locked onto a deep space trajectory. The gravity drive pulsed like a living thing, propelling its new crew across billions of miles of space. Hicks finally had his revenge, but he found no satisfaction in it. He blamed his misery on the aliens. Now all he could blame was himself. Newt stood at one of the viewports staring into space. The light from the stars stretched around the ship like glowing white neon. But this time it was different. She wasn't alone anymore. And maybe finally that was all that mattered. She had come a long way in her life, from one destroyed planet to another, to yet another, but she was still alive. Not so long ago that wouldn't have meant much to Newt, but things had changed. She had Mitch now. Somehow they would find a way to repair him, bring him back to what he'd been before. No, that wasn't true. He was already more than he'd been before, even if his body was half destroyed. But there were ways to fix that, easier because of what he was, and even that wasn't really important. Newt climbed into her cryosleep chamber, touched a control, watched the lid fan slowly down. No, what was important was she wasn't alone anymore. And she knew, as sleep claimed her, she would not dream of the past and of monsters. Rather, she would dream of the future, whatever that might be. After all, they hadn't done too bad so far. A war was fought, one battle at a time. Newt smiled and closed her eyes. In this series, I'm recounting the Earth War, as depicted in the Aliens comic series and novels, and the events leading up to it, as well as its aftermath. The accounts are explored as originally published, despite certain names, locations, and other events having been altered over time. For more on the Earth War, you can check out the Accounts of the Earth War playlist on the end screen, and stay tuned for the latest videos. As always, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like, and you can also subscribe for all the latest videos from Alien Theory. A very, very special thanks goes out to WEYLAND Yutani executive, EmYarUk, part of the Patreon Hive. I'd also like to thank our Hive's queen, Lady Anne. If you'd like to join the Hive and support the channel, check out my Patreon page for exclusive posts and contests. In the meantime, you can catch up with Alien Theory over social media. Follow @alien_theory on Twitter and @alientheoryyt on Facebook and Instagram for more. And until next time, this is Alien Theory, signing off.